All right, if you want to make your blues sound expensive, then you got to learn how to play through the changes. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over a 1-4-5 typical kind of 12-bar blues. And we're going to look at all the chords in a typical 12-bar blues, in this case in the key of D, in one position so we can make the changes. Now this is a continuation of some videos I've already done. Actually, this will be a part 4. So what I would certainly recommend is that you go back and check those out. I have a playlist on my channel called The Intermediate Guitarist. And what I'm doing is I'm showing you guys how to get just a little bit more musical and maybe punch through the next level. That's kind of my goal here. So I'll link that up here somewhere. I want you to go check that out. And you can start from the beginning. I've gone through all these different patterns looking at the 1, 4, and 5 chord. Now I've done it mostly over a pop type backing track, but today I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and do it over a blues. Now typically with blues, most players when they're playing say a D blues or something like that, they're going to go into more of a D minor pentatonic or a D minor blues type thing. And that's cool. I do that too. And you should do that because that's kind of old school and it sounds great. But if you want to make it a little bit more sophisticated or a little bit more expensive, what you want to do is try to nail some of the chord changes. So let's jump into what I'm talking about. By the way, my name is Jeffery Marshall. I'm a professional guitarist and guitar instructor. I put out videos once a week here on YouTube, and if you want to get any of the PDFs or any backing tracks I might use, you can go to the link below, my Patreon site. It's only $5 a month, and there's tons of videos there and stuff for you to check out. So let's go ahead and jump into the lesson. Okay, so we have a D major scale here. Now we are in what I call pattern 4. Now I'm using the cage system, right? So the cage system, when I say pattern 4, it's what a lot of people might call pattern 1. And the reason is because the root is here, right? And that's where you're kind of starting your chord shape from. But the chord shape for me is an E-shaped bar chord. This is like taking an open E and turning it into a bar chord and moving it up. And what that does is in the cage system, if you count the letters of the cage system, C, A, G, E, it's the 4th letter. So I call this pattern 4. Okay, and we have a major scale here. Now, you probably not going to use that too much if you're playing blues, but you can use a major pentatonic. So what you see right here is I have the notes of the chord singled out here as the triad arpeggio. And that's really important because it's showing you, it doesn't necessarily mean you got to play sweep arpeggios or anything like that. It's just showing you where all those chord tones are of that triad. Now, right around here, we can add in the notes of the major pentatonic scale. And I like using pentatonic scales for a couple of reasons. Is they're still very close to sounding to the chord, but they add some colors like the 2 and the 6, right? So right here I have a D major pentatonic. And that's going to work great if I'm playing a D blues. That's going to work great over the 1 chord. And it sounds a little bit more sophisticated than just going for my typical. That's cool, but you probably already know that, right? Now, what's going to happen is when I go to my 4 chord, in this case it'll be G, some of these notes are going to change, right? So I want to get these down. Now, one thing I want to also mention is I like to add a half step, and I'm going to do that in the form of a triangle. I like to add a half step between the major 2nd of the scale and the major 3rd. What that does is it kind of pushes your ear to the 3rd from the 2nd, or from the minor 3rd down to the 2nd. So I can play little lines like leading into the major 3rd, and then down from that minor 3rd to the major 2nd. And that's a really nice. So I'm going to look for that in all these different patterns, and it starts to sound a little bit more sophisticated, but I can clearly see the notes of that D major chord, and that is what is important. Now, when we go to our 4 chord, I want to ask myself, well, how can I see if I'm playing a D blues, the next chord is probably going to be a G7 chord. And you could just start with just a G major triad type chord, but that's an A-shaped chord, right? That's like taking an open A chord, in a bar form and moving it up until it becomes G. And seeing how it's an A shape, it's the second letter of the word cage. So I think of it as a pattern 2. People might think of it something different. It doesn't really matter, I guess. But, you know, the important thing is you know the origin of this chord shape, which is an A-shaped chord. So what I have here is I have all the notes of the chord singled out as an arpeggio, so we can really see where they are, right? But just like I did with my D major, I added the pentatonic notes, and I'm going to do that here too. So I'm going to go back to this guy right here, and here is my my G major pentatonic, and that's going to sound really good. Now I can do the same thing here, as I can add the minor third as a little bit of a passing note, either up to the major third or down to the major second, maybe even traversing down to the root. And you can also do that maybe here, leading into the major third there. So you get something like right? And that really gives you some nice bluesy sounds, maybe even for some folks bordering on a little bit jazzy. And that's what I mean as far as sounding expensive, right? You know, not just playing your just minor pentatonic or your minor blues, but now you're playing something that is more relevant to the actual chord that you're playing over. Now, don't get me wrong. I certainly love and think that just blowing over some minor blues is great too, but I like to mix it up. You know, you can mix and match it, and you can kind of go, oh, this way I'm going to lean into just the minor blues, and this way I'm going to lean into the chords a little bit more, and they can work together, so they don't have to be two separate worlds, so to speak. Now, my 5 chord in the key of D would be A major, and if you're playing an A blues, you might play like a dominant 7th chord. Okay. Now there's more colors. I'm keeping this pretty basic because I want to tie it into some of the other lessons I've done. But, you know, I just wanted to snazz it up a little bit and, you know, get a little bit bluesy instead of just playing over that pop track. Okay, so here's now this is a C-shaped chord, right? This is like taking a cowboy C and turning it into a bar chord and moving it up until I find an A note here on the 12th fret. And so now it's an A chord in the form of a C, right? So here's the notes of that chord. And, you know, I just want to know those so I can lean into those when that A chord comes. But then, of course, I can also add in some of the notes of that major pentatonic scale. And there we go. And, you know, all of these notes of all these pentatonic scales, as I've mentioned before, are in the key of D. So it's not like you're going outside the key at all. You're just leaning into that chord a little bit more. And we can do the same thing here. We can add in a little bit of that minor third as a passing note, leading us into the major third or down to the major second, maybe even traversing down to the root, right? So like right here, we would have something like that. That gives us a little bit, dare I say, jazzier type sound. And I can also even do that here. So I can add a little, you know, leaning into this major third. Okay, and that just softens up that. Sometimes a major pentatonic can sound a little square, so it just softens up that sound a little bit to me, right? So now I've got, you know, something that I could use in my blues, and of course in the background I can always go back to playing some, right? I can start to blend those sounds together, but then here comes my 4 chord, and I've got. And then my 5 chord. Yeah, you see, so this is so important. In my mind, this is so important because, you know, sure, you could take this shape and you could go, well, I could make this a G by just moving it way down here, and then A would be here. But by keeping it here, it's a more subtle changes, right? And it requires a little bit more discipline at first, but the rewards are great because you're just making subtle changes from one chord to the next, and it doesn't sound like you're jumping all over the guitar. Do you know what I mean? You're not changing any register or anything like that. You're staying right at home here, which is really powerful. All right, let's see if I can fire this up over a backing track. Okay, I'm playing real simple, but I want you to be able to see how I'm moving from one chord to the next, and even sometimes throwing, kind of falling back on a little bit of minor blues to add some sauce in there, right? So this is how this can be used too. Now, like I said, in some of the previous lessons, I'm just kind of playing these exercises through like a simple kind of pop style backing track. But I thought maybe since we're doing 1-4-5s, we can maybe throw a little bit of blues in there and have a little bit of fun with it. And this might be a great way that you can spice up your blues and, like I said, make it sound a little bit more expensive by outlining the chords, adding in some of that minor third in between the major second and the major third to give it a little bit of chromaticism. Very basic, but in a really good way. Now, I'm kind of overdoing it. I might lean into a little bit more minor blues here and there, but I wanted you to hear when I contrast some of those minor blues, it kind of goes into a little bit more grittier type sound. So you start to get to all these different avenues that you can actually play your blues with. You can lean into the old school minor pentatonic minor blues scale kind of over everything and get that nice grit that we love, or you can move the needle this way into playing through the chord changes, which might sound a little bit more jazzy. All right, so make sure you're following along, because like I said, this is kind of like part 4 of what's going to be a 5-part. So I got one more part coming on, but the underlying thing here is when I first started playing guitar, maybe a lot of you guys are like this too, you kind of think of chords and scales as 2 separate universes, right? I play rhythm guitar, I'm playing chords. When I play lead guitar, I'm playing scales. But I'm telling you, by being able to see the chords, even when you're playing lead guitar, is going to make your playing a lot more melodic, and it's going to really outline the chords and tell your listener like, oh, we're on this chord now, which is really cool. And you can always, like I said, dial it. You don't always have to do that, but you have that option, and it does require a little bit of training. So I just like to train in position for a little bit. I'll go to the next position, and then over time, it'll kind of start to flow all around the neck. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that stuff, and follow along, and let me know in the comments if you're making any progress, and I will see you next time around. Cheers.